Have you ever walked away from a conversation and then spent the next 3 hours replaying it, thinking, why did I say that? Why did not I say this? Did that sound weird? Did they take it the wrong way? Meanwhile, the other person probably hasn't thought about the conversation once, but your brain was not let it go. Or maybe you have checked your phone, seen no notification, put it back in your pocket, then checked it again 2 minutes later, not because anything changed, because uncertainty is uncomfortable, and somehow a text message, a comment, a look, a small interaction can end up occupying an entire day of your life. The strange part is that most people know they are overthinking when it happens. They know they are making something bigger than it probably is, yet they keep doing it anyway. Because overthinking doesn't feel irrational from the inside. It feels responsible, like you are trying to understand something, prepare for something, prevent something. But what if that is exactly why it becomes so hard to stop? Nobody wakes up and says, I am going to overthink today. That is not how it starts. It usually starts with a question: did I make the right choice? What if I missed something? Did they mean something by that? And those questions feel reasonable. In fact, they feel smart. Because thinking things through is generally considered a good thing. Careless people don't analyze. Careless people don't prepare. Careless people don't think about consequences. So the mind quietly creates a rule. If thinking helps, more thinking should help even more. That is where the trap begins. Because there is a difference between solving a problem and circling around it. Imagine driving somewhere unfamiliar. At first you are making progress, then you miss a turn. Suddenly you are driving around the same block. Still moving, still focused, still trying, but no longer getting closer. That is what overthinking often looks like psychologically. Mental effort without mental progress. And because your brain feels busy, it assumes something useful must be happening. But here's the strange part. Most overthinkers are not actually looking for answers. They are looking for something else. Most people think overthinking comes from having too many thoughts. But that is not usually the problem. The real problem is uncertainty. Think about the things people overthink: waiting for a reply, waiting for results, waiting to hear back, waiting to know where they stand. The common theme is not information, it is uncertainty. And uncertainty creates tension. The brain hates unfinished stories. It hates not knowing. It hates loose ends. So it starts searching for clues, patterns, explanations, anything that might make the future feel more predictable. Have you ever checked your phone, seen nothing, locked the screen, then checked again a few minutes later? Not because you expected something new. Because uncertainty was bothering you. The brain would often rather receive an answer it doesn't like than sit with not knowing, because certainty feels safer than possibility. And once uncertainty enters the picture, even tiny situations can start feeling much bigger than they really are. A strange thing happens when uncertainty meets imagination. One small event starts creating multiple realities. A delayed reply becomes maybe they are busy, maybe they are upset, maybe I said something wrong, maybe they don't want to talk. One possibility becomes 10, then 20, then 50, and your brain starts treating every possibility like something that needs attention. That is why overthinking is so exhausting. You are not carrying one situation. You are carrying dozens of imagined versions of the same situation. The original event was small. The possibilities were not. And that is why people often feel mentally drained by things that never actually happened, because mentally they experienced all of them, but the cycle becomes much stronger once the future gets involved. This is where overthinking quietly takes over, because the human mind has an incredible ability. It can create futures that don't exist, then react to them as if they do. What if I fail? What if they leave? What if this goes wrong? What if I regret it later? What if I make the wrong choice? Every what if creates another version of reality, and your brain tries to prepare for all of them. At first that sounds useful, but eventually something changes. The mind stops preparing and starts rehearsing fear, because every possible future creates another possible problem. and every possible problem creates another thing to think about. That is why overthinking never feels finished. There is always another scenario, another possibility, another future outcome. And maybe the most important thing to understand is this: overthinking is not your brain trying to find the answer. It is your brain trying to avoid being surprised. The problem is that your body does not always distinguish between a real threat and a vividly imagined one. Think about how many arguments people rehearse that never happen, how many disasters they predict that never arrive, how many conversations they mentally replay before they ever occur. The future exists only in their imagination, yet the stress is real, the tension is real, the exhaustion is real, because the body responds to what the mind keeps presenting. And after enough time, people start carrying emotional weight from events that don't even exist. That is why overthinking can feel so draining, not because reality is overwhelming, because possibility is endless, which reveals the hidden cost most people never notice. Overthinking steals something incredibly valuable: the present moment. Because while your mind is busy trying to control tomorrow, today quietly passes by. You are sitting with people, but mentally somewhere else. You are eating dinner, but mentally somewhere else. You are driving home, but mentally somewhere else. Life keeps happening, but your attention keeps living in futures that have not arrived. And eventually many people realize something. The thing exhausting them is not life itself. It is the constant attempt to mentally control life before it happens. And that is a battle nobody wins. Because certainty never fully arrives. There will always be another unknown, another possibility, another outcome you cannot predict. Maybe that is why overthinking feels endless. Because it is not really searching for answers. It is searching for certainty. And certainty is one thing life rarely gives completely. Relationships contain uncertainty. Decisions contain uncertainty. People contain uncertainty. The future contains uncertainty. The goal was never to eliminate it. The goal was learning how to live alongside it. Because peace does not come from knowing everything. Peace comes from accepting that you never will. And maybe that is the realization many overthinkers eventually arrive at. The answer was not hidden inside one more thought, one more analysis, one more replay. The answer was realizing that some questions don't need immediate answers, and some possibilities don't deserve unlimited attention. Because life is not happening inside the future you are imagining, it is happening right now. Before you go, what is something you spent days, weeks, or even months worrying about that never happened? I did genuinely like to hear your answer, because most people discover the same thing eventually. The things they feared most usually existed only inside their head. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind human behavior, self-awareness, and modern life, stay here.